Hey guys, what's going on? It's Eli with Little Blue. And that's right. We are, of course, reviewing, at long last, and for its 40th anniversary, Raiders of the Lost Ark. What do we have to say about this, you know? Because just so much.
What don't we have to say about it?
I know.
Classic movie. Absolutely just perfect from beginning to end.
I know. And that also legendary collaboration with Lucas and Spielberg.
Yes, exactly. Initially, they had tried to get Tom Selleck to play the role of Indiana Jones. Tom Selleck was tied up in production with
Magnum PI, yeah,
which was on CBS back in the early 80s and I think even late 70s.
Which we know how that turned out, and with Tom Selleck in it. Exactly.
So that was all that was happening. So they ended up, of course, getting Harrison Ford.
Exactly. Spielberg been wanting to have Harrison Ford, you know.
Yes.
Yep.
It was absolutely perfect. He was perfectly cast for the part. Do I think Tom Selleck would have done a good job? Yeah, Selleck would have done a good job.
But if we would have seen it.
But there's just something about Harrison Ford, his cynicism, his he's got a macho way about him, and just pulls no punches, no nonsense. Love it.
Exactly. And because even like George Lucas, he didn't want to have Harrison Ford in it. Use the same face basically.
Yes.
Yeah, because Harrison, he had already been in American Graffiti and in Star Wars.
Well, and the thing of it is, what they underestimated was the fact that Harrison Ford is such a powerful actor that he's a good character actor, but he becomes the character that he takes on. So yes, you can say, well, you see Han Solo in Indiana Jones, you see him in any of the other roles he played. That he's played in, from Fugitive to
I know,
Regarding Henry, if you've ever seen that movie.
Blade Runner, Air Force.
But the thing of it is,
Mosquito Coast.
He makes that character his own. It's really kind of hard to explain, but the way he portrays a character, yes, it's Harrison Ford. It's like Tom Selleck is a character actor. Tommy Lee Jones is a character actor. It's Tommy Lee Jones in that role, but he becomes that role.
Jack Nicholson.
Exactly.
Yeah. But with Raiders, because the opening is great,
Yes.
In the jungle and such, and the idol that they find.
Exactly.
And the infamous boulder chase.
If you've ever gone to Disney and you've ever been to Hollywood Studios and seen the
Stunt Spectacular.
Stunt Spectacular. Fantastic show. Fantastic show live. And that boulder in that stunt show weighs, I think, estimated about 800 pounds. And one of the...
it's very light. And,
one actor actually got injured by it. I think it ran over him, and he was injured. But
there's even footage of this on YouTube. The boulder, the stunt show Spectacular, it bounced off, off its place.
Yes. So...
and in this, like Alfred Molina, he's in this too.
Exactly.
And the opening was, of finding the idol, and adios amigo, when he escapes with it, tries to escape with it first, but the spikes kill him.
Right.
And Harrison, like Indy, his reply, adios or whatever he says.
Right.
Yep. That's where the boulder comes in, and the main villains, of this film, play the French archaeologist, right? Played by Paul Freeman. He was so good in this.
He was very good.
And his eyes, for one thing, his facial expressions.
So I know. Fantastic.
Even Spielberg said something about that too in the behind the scenes.
He portrayed that character so well.
Balak, yeah.
Balak.
Yeah. Dr. Balak.
And his Indy's counterpart in Egypt kept calling him Balash. And when he figured out who he was talking about, he started laughing and he says, Balak, Balak, and but he played that character was so good because he just epitomized the villain, almost the twisty mustache villain, he was so good at it.
Yep. And the other character is, Dr. Marcus.
Yes.
Yep, and, you know, because Indy is put to the task of finding the Ark of the Covenant.
Right.
Yep, and the others, you know, Marion, of course.
Marion's a great character.
Yeah.
And I guess she's not going to be in Indiana Jones 5.
Who knows?
Maybe, but...
Maybe, you know.
But she's a great... they played off each other very well.
Yeah, Indy and Marion's relationship is something, you know.
Oh, I know. They bicker, they fight constantly, but
they still love each other.
Exactly.
Yeah, and Sala, you know.
Sala is the one who kept calling
John Rice
Balak Balak.
Oh, I kind of forgot about that.
Yeah.
You know that originally Danny DeVito was gonna almost play the part
of
Sala.
Sala.
Yeah,
I'm glad they got.
But his scheduling or something, and he wanted to play that role, but something to do with the scheduling.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But John Rice Davis, he is Sala.
Oh yeah, he was excellent.
Let's hope he is in the 5th film.
Yes.
Yeah, and the other characters like that one Nazi guy played by Ronald Lacey. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that Nazi guy with the glasses, you know.
Yeah.
Good evening, Fräulein.
Good evening, Fräulein.
We are not thirsty. And, you know, like, shoot them both.
We are not thirsty.
Yeah. And, you know, shoot them both. You know, even, like, Spielberg kind of said that he reminded him of the actor, of course, like, of a Peter Lorre.
Yeah.
I would say kind of his voice, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
And that one part is in the bar and the fire and fighting, and he grabs like that piece, whatever, and burns his hand.
Yeah, he grabs that. It was that pendant that went to that headpiece for that opened that gave him the location of the Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah, and we see it, you know, because when Hail Hitler and see the mark on his hand. Wow,
scarred. Yeah.
Yeah. And also that sequence, the basket chase. Yes,
the basket chase. That was funny, actually. There's a lot of humor in the Indiana Jones movies.
Oh, yeah.
And there's the scene when Indy is facing off against the
sword guy?
The scimitar. He's holding a scimitar.
No, the scimitar?
He just turns around and goes, and he shoots him.
It's like, oh, give me a break, and shoots him.
Well, that was probably the 15th take. And the look on Harrison Ford's face, the frustration on Indiana Jones' face, that was real.
Oh, it was?
That was Harrison Ford just getting aggravated, like, you know. And that's the take they used. The take you see is the last. That's the take that they used, and it was just him after they had retaken it so many times. He was just tired and frustrated. He's like, you know, and shot him.
And in the film, it's like Indy's just like, oh, please, you know, and he's got a gun.
Exactly.
You know, he's got a sword and he's got a gun. The gun wins.
Exactly.
And that one
never bring
a gun to a never bring a
knife
sword,
never bring a knife to a gunfight.
Yeah, whatever.
So that kind of echoes to with
Indiana Jones
4, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Nice try, kid. You just brought a knife to a gunfight.
Exactly.
That does echo.
Yeah, it's funny that he did that, and it goes back to Raiders of the Lost Ark when when the guy with the scimitar is going to chop Indy down, and Indy's just like,
exactly.
Yeah.
And that one part where it almost feels like Marion was killed in an explosion.
Oh yeah. You think and if you see it originally,
it looks like it is.
You think she's dead.
And the music that plays at that part is so good, like with Marion's theme, but devastating sound.
Yes.
And need I say, because we almost forgot, John Williams' music. Fantastic, I gotta say.
Well, John Williams.
It's John Williams.
It's John Williams.
Yeah,
exactly.
Of course. And because this is a film done by Lucas and Spielberg. Hey, Williams, of course, doing the music because he's worked with both of them.
Anxious to see what he comes up with for Indy 4.
Aside from maybe bits and pieces and the theme of the Indiana Jones.
Exactly.
You get the idea. Remember there was a monkey in there too?
Oh yeah, I remember the monkey.
Even the monkey, even saluted,
Yeah, and the monkey got poisoned on dates.
Yeah.
It was poisonous dates. They put poison on the dates. They're trying to kill Indy, and ended up killing the monkey.
Yeah, and you remember that, and we can't forget about the infamous snake scene.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes?
Then Sala, asps, very dangerous. Yeah. You go first.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And that whole sequence with Cobra.
The infamous Cobra
is behind glass.
I think you can. I think even Harrison Ford said in the behind the scenes, you can barely see a reflection of glass.
Yeah, it was behind glass, but that would have to be intimidating for that to be even have just glass between you and knowing that a deadly poisonous cobra is right there in front of you, and the only thing separating you is glass.
I know.
So.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And also like the interaction, I guess, relationship between Balak, am I saying it right? Balak
yeah.
and Marion, you know? Because it's obvious because Balak, he despises and hates Indian, and he also loves Marion.
Yeah, he's fallen for her.
Exactly.
You know, and that's you know, the villain's trying to woo the hero's girl.
But Marion knows better, of course.
Yeah, of course she does.
And that one part with, you know, Ron Lacey's character, Major... Is it Major Arnold? I think so. There's like, he comes into the tent, you know, with Balak and Marion. He pulls like what looks like a torture kind of thing, but it turns out to be a
hanger.
Yeah, that's a
hanger for his coat.
It's supposed to like shock you at first, but no, it like relieves you. I guess it's a laugh or something. It's a coat hanger.
Yeah, even Balak was taken aback. He was kind of like
what are you doing?
What is this? You know.
Yeah, and the look on their faces, especially Balak, like you know, because
it was relief.
Yeah, exactly. And that one part where Sala and Indy, they're carrying the Ark of the Covenant.
Yes.
And the one shot with their shadows.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And the behind the scenes, they were actually, because that shot with the shadow in a behind the scenes photo, I showed you this. I saw this on Facebook.
Yeah.
They were actually just carrying a flat piece of cardboard or something.
Yes.
Yeah. And of course, you know, the Nazis, they discover what's going on, and they throw Marion down with Indy, trapped in the snake pit.
That scene's hilarious. She's climbing all over his head. You know,
and yet she's like, "You bastards, I'm going to get you for this."
Yeah, exactly.
Johns, adieu. Yeah. And they do, of course, eventually, do get out, and the scene with the plane.
Yes.
Yeah, and that scene where Indy's fighting that big, bald, tough guy.
The big German guy, yeah, he's...
Who would appear in the other two Indy films.
Right.
Actually, yeah. And he gets killed by the propeller.
Yeah, he gets completely chopped down by the propeller.
And the blood spewing.
Oh, yeah.
And actually, Frank Marshall played the pilot of that plane.
Oh, okay.
Because I think the actor who's supposed to play the pilot got sick, and Frank Marshall took over. Which, it's kind of nice. Some very big crew members of Lucasfilm or whatever, like Frank Marshall or whatever, making cameos.
Yeah.
I mean, heck, in the Star Wars films, we didn't mention this, the Star Wars, like, especially the prequels, well, and even in the original trilogy, some of the big crew members such as Star Wars, they made cameos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Ben Burt and the director of Return of the Jedi in the Walker, when the Ewoks and Chewbacca come in to take over.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then, of course, remember the song that Sala sings, you know? What's the last scene? A British tar is a soaring stone.
Yeah, love that song.
Yeah, and yet in another Paramount film, which being Star Trek Insurrection, Picard, Worf, and Data would sing that.
Exactly.
I remember you pointing that out to me when we were seeing it, one of the times we saw Raiders in theaters, that, you know, what that song was. And
yeah, it was the same song.
And I knew what it was, you know?
Exactly, it's easy to recognize.
Yeah, and I forget the one actor who plays the captain of the boat that they get on. George Harris, yeah, he would be in the Harry Potter films.
Yes.
Yeah. So he's like the captain of that ship, and that one part where Marion accidentally hits the mirror on Indy's jaw.
Oh, that was hilarious.
Oh, that was funny.
He yells out.
His yell, I'm telling you.
Oh, I know, it was great. It was great. But cut to the chase.
And Indy flirting with Marion, you know, hurts here. And so, yeah.
Cut to the chase. When they finally get to the island.
The Nazis capture Marion and the Ark.
And
Indy sneaks on to the submarine.
Exactly. And Indy, threatens to blow up the Ark. But even he realizes, as an archaeologist, that something with that historical significance, that much power, potential power, spiritual power, he couldn't destroy it.
No, he couldn't.
He knew it would be an absolute cardinal sin, from an archaeological standpoint, to destroy that. So,
and that location that they're at, and with that scene where he threatens to blow it up, it's the same location and such with Tatooine.
Right.
And that same location spot, I guess, with the Jawas they carried off R2-D2.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, they do that. They, they're of course they're tied at the stake, and the cameras, these Nazis, they're filming it, for to document the historical this historical event.
Even as Balak says, this is history.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they open the ark, they open the lid, and Indy tells Marion, no matter what happens, do not open your eyes.
Yeah, shut your eyes, Marion.
He knew
no matter what happens, keep your eyes
do
shut.
Do not look into the eyes of evil, or it'll take you. And
of course, the Nazis too stupid, and yet they are evil.
Yeah, of course. So evil took evil, basically.
Yeah.
And then by the time they do open their eyes, there is absolutely nothing left but that ark.
Yeah.
And them.
But those spirits, and when this beautiful kind of angel face, whatever, like a demon face, whatever, like skull.
Exactly.
And Totes, T-Trick, and Balak scream,
Well,
and I think is it Meter like is when it's like Indy and don't look, Marion, keep your eyes shut. We cut to Balak. Did he must have heard Indy, I guess. I feel like he did because I think he was looking at them.
Well, it was interesting. It's interesting to say that,
I just feel like
they were not those spirits were not evil spirits. They were angels, basically.
Yeah.
But they turned evil against the evil.
Right.
And fought the evil and defeated the evil.
And the music in that is so good.
Yes.
Yeah. And then, of course, when all the Nazis... the three of them, they're... I think it's, it's a T-Trick, the other Nazi guy, along with Totes and Balak. Mm-hmm. His head shrinks,
Yes.
And I think his tongue even comes off or something.
Yeah. It's,
and the one cool effect even Spielberg thought was the best effect he'd seen, Totes' head melting.
Oh, yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely awesome.
That was and of course, we know how it was done.
Yes.
And you notice how the head, even Spielberg pointed this out, how the head kind of comes down. Yeah. And Balak's head explodes.
Yeah, just like the movie Scanners.
Scanners?
Yeah, there was a movie called Scanners.
Okay.
His heads exploded.
Yeah. And it was, at least, because even at that time, because it was PG, and because even with that, his head exploding.
Yes.
I think especially because, hey, there was more flames happening, more flames on screen.
Sure.
Kind of not fully showing his head exploding.
Right.
You can see it, but not fully, because, the flames for one thing.
Right.
And the ending is really good, don't you think?
Ending was very good.
That, what's-his-face, Porkins from Star Wars, he's in this too?
Of course.
As one of those guys in the suits?
Yes. But I think what you see at the end, when they have the ark and they're sealing it up in that big warehouse, I think that's probably more true than anything else, because I'd say that the government has a lot of things like that that they keep in storage that they just hide away.
I forget how it goes, but Porkins, I'm calling them Porkins, top men, looking over the ark or something?
Exactly.
But we see that it's being locked up in the warehouse.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I like the last line when she says, when he comes out and he says, the fools, he says, they don't know what they've got there. She says, and Marion says, well, I know what I've got here.
Tips his hat up, Come on, I'll buy you a drink.
Exactly. Great ending. But then of course they cut to the scene with the man on the pushing it into the warehouse and pushing it in the back, and it's going into storage forever. Yeah. And of course that ark turns up in Indiana Jones 4, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
That warehouse, I assume.
In that same warehouse.
Area 51, I guess?
Area 51.
Right. Well, it's not really established in Raiders where that is.
It's not even established in that it's Area 51, but you see a 51 on the hangar door, so you're left to your deductions, basically. Yeah.
And until we get to our review of the next two Indiana Jones films.
Exactly.
Yeah. And man, because Raiders of the Lost Ark, there's just something about that film. It's just amazing, one of the best films in film history.
Yeah, you watch that film, and that is a film.
Yes.
And there's movies and then there's films. That's a film.
I even looked this up. Even it's one of along with a couple other movies. It's and one of M. Night Shyamalan's favorite movies as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. He likes that and The Exorcist, and I think a couple others are his favorite movies.
Yep.
And because even with the trailers and the posters at that time, because from the geniuses behind Star Wars and Jaws,
Exactly.
Because that's what they were well known for.
Sure.
For Lucas and Spielberg.
Combine those two together, and
you get this.
Yeah.
And it all started where, hey, they were on a beach in Hawaii talking about the plans of discussing and going over, the plans for the Raiders.
Yeah, and there was a different name that I can't remember if it was George Lucas or Steven Spielberg threw out. I think it was George Lucas that threw out another name for Indiana Jones, and Steven Spielberg shot it down. And
Indiana Smith?
Something like that. He was
originally named Indiana Smith, but Spielberg didn't like the name, and Spielberg was like, why don't we call him Indiana Jones?
Yeah.
Okay, that works.
And it just rang. It had a ring to it. So.
And this movie got turned down when Spielberg was trying to get the film financed. Everybody thought nobody would do it because everybody looked at this really gargantuan movie with lots of action. Yeah. Well, of course it had lots of action. Everything. It was a gargantuan film.
Exactly, it was.
Yeah, and Paramount, they finally got Paramount to get them to do the film and such. And, because as we know, the Paramount Mountain being, because when the Paramount logo shows, then we cut to a mountain that looks like the Paramount Mountain, that is. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark, is it just called Raiders of the Lost Ark or with Indiana Jones' name in the title?
It's Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Okay. I even checked on IMDb, I don't know why, because IMDb also has Indiana Jones' name in the titles as well. Yeah,
I think they may have changed it. I think it was originally called Raiders of the Lost Ark, but Indiana Jones' name is in there now.
Okay. But what about the rest of the movies? They fit well with Indy's name in there?
Yes.
Like Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones becomes the central character, and that's the movie's about Indiana Jones. So,
but with this, which is it? Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark, or without Indy's name?
It's Raiders of the Lost Ark.
And that's how it was originally called.
Yes.
And to think that this film would have almost won Best Picture. Well, I think it did won other awards, I think, but not Best Picture.
Yeah,
would have been something. And yet, I think even Jaws and Star Wars, they had been nominated for Best Picture.
Yeah, it's always some. Always some long-haired movie that wins it,
Exactly. But with all that being said, what do we have? Any last words on Raiders?
Excellent film.
Yeah.
Excellent film.
Yep. And how do we rate this?
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10? Obviously.
Totally 10 out of 10. Yes.
Obviously 10 out of 10.
Yes.
Yeah. And you may have noticed because I've been wearing the fedora for this review.
Yep.
I remember when our review of Last Crusade, you wore the fedora.
I wore the fedora last time. You're wearing it
now this time we're wearing it. Maybe next time, hey, we could wear both hats.
Yeah.
I don't know. But anyway, so with that being said, that's our review of Raiders of the Lost Ark, and for it being out on its 40th anniversary.
Absolutely.
40th anniversary, can you believe it?
That's hard to believe.
Yeah. So there you go. And again, 10 out of 10 for Raiders of the Lost Ark, and of course 2 thumbs up, way up, of course, right?
Absolutely.
And again, happy 40th anniversary to Raiders of the Lost Ark. Definitely one of the greatest and best movies of film history. Yep. So, with all that being said, we hope you enjoyed our review of Raiders of the Lost Ark. Any last words?
Off out.
Yep. And for me, we'll see you guys in the next video /review video. Take care and peace out.